Nazir, base solid. If one says I'm a Nazir on condition that I be permitted to drink wine or contract tumor from the dead, he is a Nazir and is prohibited in all of them. If he says, I know that there is Naziris, but I did not know that a Nazir is forbidden wine, he is forbidden. But Bread Shimon permits him. I know that a Nazir is forbidden wine, but I thought that the sages would permit it for me since I cannot live without wine, or since I bury the dead is permitted. But Rabbi Shimon forbids him. If one says I am a Nazir and it is an obligation upon me to provide for a Nazir to shave his head, and his friend heard him and he said, and it is an obligation upon me to provide for a Nazir to shave his head. If they are clever, they provide for each other to shave, and if not, they must provide for other Nazirim to shave. If he says it is an obligation upon me to provide for the shaving of a half a Nazir, and his friend heard him and said, it is the obligation upon me to provide for the shaving of half a Nazir, this one must provide for the shaving of the complete Nazir, and this one must provide for the shaving of a complete Nazir. These are the words of Hamnea, but the sages um, say this one provides half of the sacrifices needed to shave a Nazir, and this one provides half of the sacrifices needed to save a Nazir. Okay.
Okay. Harini Nazir Lichsheyeli Ben. So he makes it conditional. He says, I'm going to be a Nazir when a son is born to me. So this is presumably in gratitude to Hashem for giving him a son that he's going to make himself a Nazir. And Nolad Lo Ben. Okay, and then a son is born to him. Areze Nazir. Okay, that part was obvious, but now what comes next is the interesting part. Nolad Lo Bat. If a daughter is born to him, a Tumtum or an androgynous, even a child of indeterminate sex or a hermaphrodite, Eino Nazir. That's not enough to be a Nazir. It's got to be a Vadai male for him to be a Nazir. Imamar Sheyeli Valad. If he says, when I have a child, then I'll be a Nazir. So he's not particular about it being a boy, then any child. Afilu nolad lo bas tumtum vandrogynos harezi Nazir. So that's any child. Okay, that's a relatively simple psak. Okay, now what happens? Mishna ches hipila ishto. If his wife miscarries, well, let's say that his wife gives birth to a child who does not survive. Let's put it that way. And now there's a potential suffix over here that was this child a viable child who then died of something external like an infection, or was this child just never fully developed and wasn't really a viable child or not? Or it wasn't actually a viable child at all. Okay. Rabbi Shimon Omer Yomar. Rabbi Shimon is so the Chachamim disagree with Rabbi Shimon on this. Um, he's and the Chachamim say Eino Nazir. This is not a Nazir because he said it when he would have a child. He didn't have a child. This was not this child did not survive long enough to be considered a fulfillment of the condition of his Naziris. However, Rabbi Shimon says no, he's concerned about the suffix because maybe this was a viable child. Yomar, so he's got to balance two things. One thing is that maybe he is chayiv in a Naziris because maybe this was a viable child. On the other hand, maybe this wasn't a viable child and he's not really a Nazir, in which case, how can he bring korbanos of a chova when he's not chayiv in it? So he has to make a tanai. He has to say, Im haya ben kayama, if this child was a viable child, hare ani Nazir chova, then I'm a Nazir for obligatory reasons. For im lav, hare ani Nazir nadava. And if not, then I am a voluntary Nazir, just stam for nothing. Okay. So then one way or another he is chayiv as a Nazir. Okay, Chazra v'yalda, if his wife has another child now who does survive and this would definitely be a fulfillment of his Naziris, he's got to make another Tanai. Harei Nazir. So first of all, Chachamim say, well, this is a Vadai Nazir because previously was Vadai not a Nazir. But Rabbi Shimon has still got the same suffix. He says, Yomar im harishon ben kayama harishon chova v'zona dava. Then the first one, if the first one was a ben kayama, then this one is just going to be a voluntary. The first one was my obligatory one, and this one is now a voluntary one. The imlav harishon dava v'zocha chova. And now I'm going. And now this will be my obligatory one. So one way or another, Rabbi Shimon says he's going to have to keep two nazirios each out of suffix and make a tanai on each one. Right. He says, Hareini Nazir, the Nazir Kashayeli Ben. He says, okay, I am a Nazir now, and I'll also be a Nazir again when a son is born to me. So he took on one just for Stam right now, and he said, but he added on a condition afterwards that he's going to also be a Nazir when he has a son. His chil mone is shelo. So now he starts keeping his first Nazirus, and in the middle of his Nazirus, achar kach nolad lo ben. So now his wife gives birth, and now he's 15 days into his first Nazirus. What should he do? Says the Mishnah, Mashlim es shelo, since he said first he's going to be a Nazir just voluntarily. V'achar kach mone es shel beno. So then he'll complete his first term of Nazirus, bring his korbanos, shave his head, and then straight away he'll begin his second period of Nazirus, which was triggered by the birth of his son. But what happens if he reverses the condition? Hareini Nazir Yeli Ben. He first says, "I'll be a Nazir when I have a son, the Nazir, and I'm also going to be a Nazir again." Okay. So meanwhile, his wife is pregnant, and he's not. And he decides, look, I'm going to start keeping the Naziris I said that I was taking on voluntarily. His chilmone is shelo, v'achar kach nolad lo ben. Now his wife gives birth to a son. So now what does he do? Because the first statement that he made was that he's going to be a Nazir on account of his son. Meniach is shelo. So now he has to suspend the count of his first Nazirus. Umones shel beno. And now he has to keep 30 days starting now for his son. So if he's kept 15 days so far, he's going to wind up keeping 45 days now, and then he completes the Naziris for his son. Now he's shaving his head and he's bringing his korbanos, and now he's going to complete his own Naziris. But what happens if his first Naziris was a 30-day Naziris and he's already kept 15 days? Well, you can't have a Naziris where he's going to shave less than 30 days. So he's got to keep another 30 days from there. But the flip side of that is that if he had declared a longer Naziris, like let's say he'd said, I'm going to keep a Naziris of 100 days, okay, and so far he's kept 20 days of his 100-day Naziris, and the son is born. So then he keeps another 30 days for his son, okay, completes the term of his son, and now since he's already kept 20 days of his first one, he can continue and do another 80 days for his second Naziris and that way he can complete. He doesn't have to start the count from the beginning. It's just that the minimum that comes thereafter is 30. Okay, back to Nadarim. Good out of base.
Okay, Yud Aleph base. These are Nadorim of B'Telf Nile. If she said, Kohanam the fruits of the world to me, he may revoke it. Kohanam the fruits of this country, he can bring her fruit from another country. Kohanam the fruits of the storekeeper to me, he cannot revoke it. But if he was his only source for provisions, he can revoke it. These are the words of Rav Yossi. If one's wife said, Kohanam, when I benefit from people, he cannot revoke it, and she can benefit from the gleanings, the forgotten sheaf, and the corner of the field. If one said, Kohanam, and Kohanam or Levium benefiting from me, they may take it against his will. These Kohanam or these Levium benefiting from me, others may take it. If one's wife said, Kohanam, my handiwork to father, or to your father, or to my brother, or to your brother, he is unable to revoke it. Kohanim, my work to you, he need not revoke it. Rabbi Kiva says he should revoke it lest he produce more than his due. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says he should revoke it lest he divorces her, and she will be then forbidden to him. Okay.
Okay, Kesubos. Shloshachar.
Okay. Now, we have the Yud Gimel Aleph. Two judges of decrees were in Jerusalem, Adman and Hanan ben Abisalom. Hanan said two things. Adman said seven. If one went overseas and his wife demands sustenance, Hanan says she must swear at the end, but she not swear at the beginning. The sons of the Kohanim Gedolim differed with him, and said she must swear both at the beginning and at the end. Those have been hearkened as concerned with the view, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai Hanan said, well, she will not need swear and except at the end. If someone went overseas and someone came else forward and supported his wife, Canaan says he lost his money. The sons of the Kohen Gedolim differed with him and said, let him swear how much he spent and recover it. Rav Dosa ben Harkin is concerned with the view, said Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Canaan said, well, he squandered his money. Adman says seven. If someone dies and leaves sons and daughters in the event that there is much property, the sons inherit and the daughters are supported. If there is little property, the daughters are supported and the sons must go begging. Admin says, because I'm a male, do I lose? Said Rabbi Gamil, I approve of Admin's view.
Okay.
And
Wait,
then
cut
we
it.
have Moed Katan. Moed Katan, Aleph Vav. We may not bury our niches nor build tombs during Kol Hamoed, but we may adapt but bury our niches during Kol Hamoed. Dig, wash ponds during Kol Hamoed, and construct a coffin in the courtyard with the deceased. Rabbi Yehuda said prohibits the latter unless the boards of our hand. We may not take wives during Kol Hamoed, neither virgins nor widows, nor may levirate marriages be entered into, because it is a source of joy for the one who does. However, one may remarry his divorcee. The woman may make her adornment during Kol Hamoed, and Rabbi Yehuda says she may not apply lime because it is a figment to her. An unskilled person may sew his in his usual manner, but an artisan may sew only his regular stitches. We may interlace supports for beds, and Rabbi Yossi says we may even tighten them.
Okay. Orla.
Okay. We have Aleph Gimel. If a tree was uprooted with a rock, or if a river swept it away together with the rock, if it could live, it is exempt. If not, it is liable. If the rock was thrown away from its side, or the plow shook it, or it shook it and made it like earth, if it could live, it is exempt, and if not, it is liable. When our forefathers entered, what is like going
And
the wrong way?
Dalit.
Valid. If a tree was uprooted, but one where root remained, it is exempt. And how much must the root be? Rabbi Gamliel says, in the name of Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yehuda of Tota, it is as a stretching pin. If a tree was uprooted but still has a sunken shoot and it lives on it, then the old one becomes like the sunken shoot. If he sank a shoot year after year and became attached, one accounts for the time it became detached. The engraftment connection of grapevines and grafting on an engrafted graft branch, even if one sunken into the ground, it is permitted. Bremeya says, in a place where its potency is effective, it is permitted, but in a place where its potency is deficient, it is forbidden. So too, if the bent down shoot may become detached and is full of fruit, if it increased 100 part, it is forbidden. Okay.
Negaim.
Okay. And we have here Yud Daled base. He then comes to send away the living bird. He does not turn his face to the sea, nor to the city, nor to the desert, as stated, and he shall send the living bird out of the country toward the field. He then comes to shave the Metzorah. The Kohen passes the razor over the Metzorah's entire body, and the Metzorah then washes the clothes and immerses. The Metzorah no longer causes tumor by entering, but he still causes tumor like a sheretz. He is permitted to enter while within the wall, but he's banned from the house for 7 days, and he's prohibited from marital relations. On the seventh day, he shaves the second shaving like the first shaving, washes his clothes, and immerses. He comes tower from causing tumor like a sheretz, but is still tummy. As one who immersed on that day is permitted to eat the tithe. When the sun sets, he is permitted to eat truma. When he brings his atonement, he is permitted to eat kohanim.
Kochim.
He calls kochim. Okay.
Yeah.
There are 3 stages of becoming tower for a Metzorah and 3 stages of becoming tower for a woman after childbirth. 3 must shave, and their saving is a mitzvah, a Nazir, and a Metzorah, and the Levium. If these 3 shave without a grazer, or if they left 2 hairs, they have accomplished nothing. Okay.
And Horaios.
This is base bait. If he birthed independently and acted independently, he is atoned for the independently. If he ruled with the community and acted with the community, he is atoned for it with the community. For the court is not liable unless it rules to abolish part and to retain part, and so too the anointed Cohen and neither are they liable with regard to idolatry unless they rule to abolish part and to remain part. They are not liable except for the oversight of something along with an inadvertent act, and so too the anointed Cohen. Neither they are liable for idolatry except for the oversight of something along with an inadvertent act. The court is not liable unless it rules on a matter which is punishable by karet. for willful transgression, and by a sin offering for inadvertent transgression, and so forth, the anointed Kohen. Neither are they liable for idolatry unless they rule in a manner which is punishable by karet, and for willful transgression, and by a sin offering for inadvertent transgression. Okay. All right.
Oh, there's a Dalit as well.
They are not liable for the positive commandment or the negative commandment concerning the temple. And they do not bring an ashram talit for the positive commandment or the negative commandment concerning the temple. Is anything happening tomorrow with
Wait, you didn't finish that Mishnah. There's more.
I skipped the page?
No, no, you just didn't finish the
But they
Mishnah.
are liable with respect to the positive commandment and negative commandment concerning a menstruate, and they bring an ashram talit for the positive commandment and negative commandment concerning the menstruate. When is the positive commandment concerning the menstruate separate from the menstruate, and the negative commandment do not cohabitate with the menstruate. Okay.
Okay.
Tomorrow should be just regular davening. We don't say
Yeah, it's